All right, badasses, welcome to MrRipper. I'm your host, Dave Makes Noises, and today we're asking the internet, what was the most badass thing that your character or one of your players' characters has done in a campaign? Part 1. So to make a very long story short, in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, my players raced a white dragon down a mountain in a makeshift sled, spun around as it caught up, Nat 20 intimidated it, and then unleashed a triple hit of fiery hell in the form of 2 Sunblade Paladins and an elemental fire sorcerer casting a level 5 fireball. They killed that thing in 1 turn. I was up against some cultists in a hallway. My party was a reasonable distance behind me, and I was closer to the cultists. They had a bodyguard, and he shot an arrow at me. I caught that damn arrow, and with a nat 20, threw it right back into his head. My party members looked at me in fear as I approached the cultists, whom I took out swiftly as well. Another one, didn't want to post 2 stories in one comment, was when our very first party was escaping a lich's dungeon. We had just reached the crypt after defeating the bosses of the dungeon. While investigating the crypt, our warlock set off a self-destruct sequence. We were deep in a mountain, and we all started booking it out of the mountain. Our paladin drops, but our cleric puts him on his back and we keep moving. We get to the entrance to the mountain where 4 shields are mounted to the wall. Me, the bard, picks one up off the wall, says deuces to the party, and starts sledding down the now collapsing mountain. The party follows suit, and we sled all the way to the outskirts of town, outracing an avalanche that we caused. Easily my favorite D&D moment. So a while back, I played a homebrew class called the Paradox for a level 20 one-shot. It was a massive dinosaur stampede, but instead of them being normal, give them steroids and you got our dinosaurs. It goes pretty normally, nothing bad happening other than the paladin having his legs crunched by an ankylosaurus, and then finally the boss. It was some monstrosity that the DM created, the Magrunos Rex. A massive T-Rex-like creature, but with the intelligence of a high-ranking military tactician. This thing was massive too, towering over anything else. Now, if you guys don't know, the Paradox's level 20 attack is called Reality Marble. It does a lot of damage. Dragged the thing into the separate plane of my imagination and had the most intense conversation between it, almost taunting the beast. Finally, I completely collapsed the plane of existence, turning it into nothing but atoms. In the Curse of Strahd game we're playing, we had just been captured by the town's guard. Now, it had been revealed to us that the guard captain was our party ranger's long-lost brother. He locked us in a room, looked at the ranger, and said it was for our own good. We were to face trial later, and there was nothing we could do to stop it. He locked the door and stood guard. While me and our party warlock were investigating the room for a way out, or clues, the ranger, crying, confused, and then angry, charged at the door. Full speed, with no weapons drawn. Nat 20. He busts down the door and stares down his long-lost brother and the other guards. Completely badass. So, I have a drunken dwarven cleric. His party was traveling in the woods, and they just got done killing a pair of adult green dragons. He decided that he was tired of walking everywhere and cast Revivify on one of the dragons. As it returned to consciousness, he attempted to intimidate it into being his new mount. Not even close. Rolled initiative to begin combat again. Nat 1. He took a burst of poison breath, which had a low roll for damage, so he took next to nothing before the dragon tried to fly away. He throws his dwarven thrower at it and kills it again before trying again. Revivify cast on the dragon. Intimidation rolled. Nat 20. Came up to a 27, as my DM allows us to use strength as our mod if we are trying to use the threat of violence. Now my dwarf has a new mount and has the habit of dropping fireballs on his opponents from the sky. I was playing a Tabaxi paladin named Feather on a Cliff. The rest of the party, an elven rogue, a human fighter, and a halfling warlock, and myself were all given a task by our sugar daddy beholder. That's a long story in itself. Anyways, our goal was to take a magical MacGuffin from another beholder who was a proud owner of a museum. The MacGuffin was the prized piece and was displayed inside a central case made of pure adamantanium, which is perfectly clear. So we made a plan. The warlock would make a big fuss at the front of the lair museum and draw all of the guards out towards the main gate. Meanwhile, the rest of the party would be using a magical bomb to blast through a back wall, closer to the main display case where the MacGuffin was located. The first part went to plan. The halfling warlock put up a big fuss, so there were only 2 guards who were in the main display room. The problem: the intel we had gained said that the beholder was absent from his main lair/museum. This proved false. The beholder was in the main display room, firing immediately with his eye raised. Now, Feather on a Cliff is a bit of an eccentric person, but boy is she brave. I, Feather on a Cliff, stormed in and poured every single bonus, spell, smite attack, anything with damage, with my +3 longsword, and I rolled to hit. My glorious green dice spun clacking against the table. I saw 2 flash before my eyes. But then a glorious 20 showed its face. The entire table broke out cheering as I dropped the beholder to 12 hit points in 1 turn. The rogue had no problem killing it on the next turn, and the guards were no problem. We stole the MacGuffin and made Sugar Daddy proud. Still the most epic, intimidating thing to watch this cat lady in armor crush this beholder with 1 giant attack, smoke from a freshly lit bomb wreathing the scene. My monk of the 4 elements figured out he could launch himself, or anyone, anywhere with his elemental attunement. He would take a small slab of earth out from under his feet, sink himself into it slightly so he doesn't fall off just to cover his feet, then hurl it into the air. This came to be known as an earth launch, and is one of the techniques I use more frequently, with earth trip, earth sink, and not today. Perhaps I'll get to those another time. I had dealt the damage necessary to kill a giant robot, so I earth-launched myself up to its face, winding up a punch on my way up, and caving its face in on the peak of my jump. Just this past Saturday, I started DMing an evil campaign where the PCs woke up inside of a burning inn. Their names were Frocris, a black dragonborn fighter, Murphy, a Goliath monk, and Dumbledwarf, the dwarven mage. Come to find out that a group of heroes burned down the inn after having a meeting with an NPC where he revealed the existence of the Book of Life. The book's powers are to either make someone immortal, kill them, or erase them from existence. After the PCs found all this out and where the heroes were going, they set off down the path the heroes went. The players then saw a pair of guards on the path that were talking about the heroes recently passing through here. Frocris runs up to the pair and immediately uses his acid breath attack on one of the guards, and because it's an attack with advantage, it also deals double damage. The guard is disintegrated immediately. The other is completely terrified of him at that point, but wants to roll for intimidation and succeeds. He describes his character walking up to this poor guard, licking his still acid-soaked fangs, and demands information from the guard. The guard gives up the information on the heroes' names and classes. Murphy then asks to be the one to finish him off, so Frocris holds him up, and Murphy turns the man's head to paste with how high the strength roll ended up being. After this, Frocris impales the body on the tree and leaves it as a warning. We had a session in which we were in our Cankus homeland. His homeland is literally a whole continent covered in tundra, where almost everything is dangerous or evil, including people living here. Our party was literally alive and not attacked 24/7 thanks to the menacing aura and popularity of our Canku. I don't even want to know how many churches he burned down in his past. Because we had 2 weeks for our ship to take us back, our only reason why we are alive told us that he needs to get to one place to check something. After some time, we arrive and find out there is a primitive village of Cankus, not blood related to ours, of course, which he was teaching some things in the past. Of course, they forgot those things and began attacking random people to steal resources. After a single nat 20, if I'm not wrong, he once again declared himself that village's king and told our party to fucking kneel down. This isn't the end of him being a Chad, of course. When we went to save some innocent people from younger Cankus, he told those that he was their king once, but they don't remember because they were young, and he became once again. They were hostile, but after a small wall of text about not killing innocent people, becoming more advanced, and a single nat 19 for summoning a horse, because our party's Canku is a druid, he became Napoleon for them. At one point, my ranger rolled poorly while it was raining, and his bowstring broke. In the next round, he used the quick draw feat to pull out his heavy crossbow as a free action, used the rapid reload feat to ready it as a move action, shot at the dragon. It would have been even more badass if I'd actually beat the dragon's AC. For the sake of badassery, we ruled that I hit it but didn't penetrate the armor. So be me. My character Stasia just found the school headmistress was being controlled by an oobleck. It's a type of slime. I jumped into the trees to stealth attack it through the window, my party not knowing what's happening. My DM states, so like Yu Yu Hakusho, you put up your finger and blast a firebolt with empowered and subtle spell like a silenced sniper round, burning through the window and killing the oobleck with a headshot instantly. Afterward, I stealthily take the headmistress out of her office and to the tavern to plan out our next move. TLDR, I sniped an oobleck through a window with my finger in total silence and made a pencil hole in the window. We were on a ship, and ours was surrounded by orc pirate vessels. During the fighting on the main deck, towards the end of the fighting, my Minotaur mercenary artificer rolled a nat 20 while casting Thunderbolt against the orc pirate chief. Since it was a crit, our DM flavored it so that, rather than casting, it was as if he had pulled a lightning bolt from the storm above and redirected it at the orc. Pretty epic moment. Hail and well met, adventurer, and thank you for crushing that con save that's kept you here till the very end of this video. If you've got a bold tale of badassery, please feel free to share it in the comments below. If you've got another cool story, feel free to share it with our official subreddit, r/MrRipper. If you're looking for a group to play D&D or another tabletop RPG with, you might want to check out MrRipper's Group Finder Discord server. Something tells me you'll find no shortage of like-minded folk there to spark up a new game. I hope that you make some time this week to be still and reflect. The world moves quickly, and if we don't ground ourselves sometimes, we can lose our footing. If you'd like to see me on my off days, feel free to check out my TikTok at Dave Makes Noises, and don't forget to check out all our streams. Links are in the description below. Thank you again for watching. Please, sub for Nat 20s. The early bird rings the bell. We are so grateful you joined us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time.